It's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co host. Everybody's back tonight, and I'm so excited about it. We have Shelly E, we have Yana, T, and Colleen. So,
Woohoo!
yes, as I generally say, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Also, you guys know we are an independent media. And so if you like what the content that we're pushing out, if you like the shows that we produce, support us by donating. We do not get paid for this, and so every donation goes to put further our cause. So again, you can donate at the PayPal link in the comments here or on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com. Again, you can go on there and find all of our content. All right. So again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. There's that PayPal link right there in the comments. It's paypal.me/Metro Conservative Media. So go on and donate. Any amount is very much appreciated, and we really, really appreciate the support. All right. So, ladies, let's set it off. We are going to jump right into it tonight. We are starting out with the Washington Post article about Pride. As you guys know, this is Pride Month, June. It started out to be a day, then a week. Now they have a whole month. So a whole month dedicated to Pride. Take a look at this clip. I think we have this clip here. I want to show you what it's all about. Here. Oh, we may not have that up yet. Let me see. Okay, well, that's fine. We're actually talking about an article, this Washington Post article, that talked about the kink. Kink in Pride. So basically, this is an article where a mom, that was posted actually last year. It was an op-ed where a mom talked about that she felt like kink, and when I say kink, I mean just the very overt sexual acts within the Pride parade, the drag queens, and all of that. I want to take a quick, give you guys a quick quote what she said here. She says, "I agree that Pride should be a welcoming space for children and teens, but policing how others show up doesn't protect or uplift young people. Instead, homogenizing self-expression at Pride will do more harm to our children than good. When my children caught glimpses of kink culture, they got to see that the queer community encompasses so many more non-traditional ways of being, living, and loving." So I want to start off with you, Yana. What are your thoughts on this? This very sexualization, exposing children, toddlers to this sexualized culture, what they call kink in Pride. What are your thoughts?
In general, it's just very upsetting to me. Work with children, I'm a tutor, and kids that are raised normally, they are very aware of what is proper, what is not proper. I was surprised to see kids saying like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to watch this." Like it has some like adult, like things that are not our age. And in this case, they're literally pushing kids to see what they're not supposed to see, and it's really gonna mess up with their heads. And in terms of kink, honestly, I'm not surprised that this lady said that because homosexuality in itself is a kink,
Okay.
in my opinion.
What are your thoughts, Shelley, on this? Should kink be exposed to children within Pride, within this culture?
Oh, darling, they should be exposed to everything when they come out the womb, right? Look, kids have a natural modesty. I don't understand why parents want to expose their kids to everything. Sex is good, okay? Sex can do wonders for the soul, for the body, for the mind. But for adults, for consenting adults, not for toddlers who don't know if they have a penis or a vagina, or what goes in what hole. That's not what toddlers need to know at that age and at that stage. So no, I don't kink. I mean, look, just call it good sex, but what they're doing out there is I don't even know. It's disgusting. It's not even sex. It's almost like bestiality.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Colleen, on this? Exposing kids to kink during Pride Month.
I really feel like kids shouldn't be exposed to this kind of stuff. It really just doesn't do the brain good at such a young age to be seeing these sexual acts. It's really important that people stick up for kids and that we are really advocating against this stuff. I mean, kids should not be seeing this. Christina Aguilera with a dildo in front of kids on stage. Like, this is just not okay. This is just weird shit and nobody likes it. Well, some people do, but a lot of us don't. The majority, I'd say, are against it, are against this kink in front of kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. This is something that hasn't really been talked about much in the mainstream media. T, what are your thoughts on this as far as kink exposing that to children within the Pride movement?
It's the Pride movement. They've already exposed them to everything else. So, I mean, now we have children who I guess aren't gay, but they're the ones who are participating in Pride and Pride parades and everything. So it's all one big orgy anyway. So why not involve the kids? Not my children, but we have to protect our own children. That's like what Colleen said. That's where we at now. But I mean, that's the world these days. Like my children say, that's what's going on. I mean, what are
But
we gonna do?
that's concerning to me, as you said it, T. Like, we must protect our children. So, how, if this is something that's happening publicly, this is like
Yeah.
something that they can literally, like, once the kids, let's say, are able to roam on their own, like if they're teenagers, how can we protect, or like, what if there's people around them that are teachers or educators that somehow expose them to that? How is this legal to even have such parades, such display, like you were saying, like Christina Aguilera wearing that, and like, how is this legal?
Well, the children have the internet anyway, so they're
That too. I
already
mean,
they're
sure,
already
it
exposed.
will
So
always
it's
be
So
there's always a possibility, but I'm thinking like parade, that's something like sanctioned, that's something that the city has to allow. Like, so
right.
that's my question.
So yeah, you're right, Yana. The city or the zoning places, they will give them permits to do that. But I want to address something you said. How can we protect our children because if they're teenagers? Well, look, teenagers do roam. Teenagers are at that stage where they are pushing a little bit, and they should. They should be able to push because they're transitioning to adulthood. No, any parent knows that you cannot protect your children 100% of the time as much as we would like to. They do have to go out and live in the world.
But
But
are we
before
gonna
they
lose the battle then at some point?
no,
Well,
Because
I'm
we
that's
have
what I
saying
the
was going to
government,
say.
we have the
no, I'm
government
saying
that's
before they
against
go
armor
the
your
into
parent.
children. You have to
But
armor
before
your
listen,
they go
children.
into the world, they need to be equipped with the right values.
we understand. I understand that, but honestly, this is all too little, too late. uh, we first of all, we need to understand, recognize, and really admit that the whole Pride LGBTQ, before it was a on the fringe, it was a minority. Now they are here and they want to be normalized, legitimized, and in mainstream everything.
So
And so when you
right.
normalize and legitimize something to the point that has happened now, this is going to be pushed to everyone. And so it's a little upsetting to see people not, standing up for children, because now it's done. The laws have been passed. This is out in the open. They're going down the street butt naked. And that was a clip I wanted you to see. People are naked, topless, shaking their penises and their breasts all over the place. And we're not talking about teenagers. So let me be clear. We are not talking about teenagers. We are talking about elementary school kids. The parades that they showed in DC, they had children, 3rd grade, 4th grade, toddlers exposed to this. The drag queen shows we've seen all week, they've had elementary school children exposed to this. It is not teenagers.
So that's
and it is
what I mean. So like, who, for example, if you find out that someone that you know has a child and that parent is showing them, pictures of naked people or is naked around them and doing obscene acts, in the house, and you find out, don't you supposed to like report on that parent or that caretaker? So if this parent is taking them to this parade, isn't that the same thing? Isn't that supposed to be illegal? That's my question.
I mean, now we've seen where they're not pushing, they're not supporting the law. I mean, it is supposed to be illegal to go, indecent exposure, but we can clearly see.
But I'm talking about exposing the child to, obscene material. That is an actual crime.
It should be a crime. It should be. I agree with you. It should be. But again, like KJ's saying, it's so far gone now that even the laws and the people that we put in place to implement and enact the laws, they're not being upheld anywhere.
Well, so not being upheld.
And let's say
Biden just passed something today. I don't know if you guys saw in the news. He just passed he did a executive order for transgenders. They've lowered the age for children to change sex and be given puberty blockers. And that's so terrible. This is being supported by our leaders in government. I mean, this is what they're doing.
I think that we need to have parades just as big as their parades to protest this, because honestly, this is not legal. This should not be even happening.
Okay, can I be real here? I think we all know that LGBT was basically made into a voter base because they know they lost the Black vote and they lost the Latino vote because they didn't give a crap about LGBT until after they realized they were polling so terribly with minorities. Now the Democrats are all about LGBT. They're making people, the very small percentage of people who are actually truly have gender dysphoria, the very small percentage of people, they're trying to make that group bigger than it really is, to make a bigger deal, to make a new voter base. And they put homosexual in the same thing as transgender. It's not the same thing at all. So it's such a mess. And I'm just so tired of them acting like this is about being proud of who you decide to be with. No, this is about votes. Let's be real here. Let's be real. This is about virtue signaling. This is about, we're going to fight for your rights. Fight for your rights. What? I'm done.
What right? What right don't they have? That's what I don't understand. What are we fighting for? What are we marching for? To me, we are marching and fighting so they can do kink.
Yeah, they're fighting for
to take
us.
over women's sports.
They want our children. They want our children.
Right.
Yeah.
For
they don't want anyone to complain anymore.
Next is pedophilia.
Right. Yeah. They don't want us to be like, oh, this is not right. This is, for them, that's discrimination. Just the fact that we're saying that this shouldn't be happening, they view it as discrimination.
This is all, again, like T said, we want our children. It is all to lessen the natural modesty that children have. They want to reduce that, take away those natural innate barriers, and make everything all equal and the same. It is not the same. It is not equal. When you reduce it down to pedophilia, bestiality, having orgies in the middle of the street, that is not healthy, normal, good sex in a loving relationship. No. They're making it all the same, and they're taking away all the norms and the boundaries.
They really want
chaos.
They really want a lawless society.
They're literally setting them up for a life of promiscuous sex that doesn't lead to happiness. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is the biggest lie.
Depend on the government.
Ultimately, sure. What'd you say?
Ultimately, they just want you to depend on the government for everything. Depend on the government for your rights. Depend on the government
Yeah,
so they can control you and have that control over people.
because
And
you're right, because a solid man and woman relationship, and even like, I mean, I'm a little bit more liberal on this subject of gay marriage than some of you are, but like a solid relationship is a threat to the government, because that's another unit again. You know what I'm saying? They need us to all be single and miserable. They need us to be all single and promiscuous and not have actual families.
Right.
So we need to be a part of the
I said that
community.
earlier this week. They want the government and this left and these political types. They want us doped up, dumbed down, and dependent.
And one thing Allie B. Stuckey said that really struck me earlier today, she pointed out, especially about this transgender bill that the Biden administration just signed as an executive order. When Trump was in office, Christians, left, conservative, on the left and right, were always speaking up about the nasty things Trump did, and rightly so, because I again supported Trump, but I'm not afraid to say I felt like he was crass, he was rude, he was not a good role model, as far as presidential. He did say some nasty things. Okay, now I don't believe he was racist, but I do feel like he said some very nasty, rude things, and he did some nasty things. How and Christians would point this out. This would be their sticking point for some that said, I agree with his policies, but his behavior and his character I can't support. Where are these Christians now? Because you have a president that is signing executive orders for kids to transition out of their biological gender. You have a president who is totally in support of the LGBTQ, IA, whatever community and everything that it involves from womb to tomb. And the Christians are saying nothing. I don't hear this uproar. I don't hear this, I'm leftist or I'm a Democrat, but I can't support Biden because he's pushing this LGBTQ agenda. I don't hear that. So
I'll tell you where they are. They're a lot of them are cowards. They have been kowtowed, particularly the last 2 years or so, when they were told to shut their churches because the government said so, against the Constitution. And now they are still coward. They're even more cowardly and afraid to speak up because they're going to be labeled as, racist and transphobic and homophobic. That's where they are. That's where many of them are.
COVID leveled out the Christian community big time. I mean, they were scared into submission, and they've been quiet ever since. They really have.
Yeah, it certainly
so they can't say anything to anyone about anything if they allowing this and not sticking up, because I'm sure it's more Christians than well, I don't know the numbers of any other religion, but if they're not speaking up now, then they can't say anything about Trump or Republicans or racists or anything.
That's a good question, KJ. In terms of just generally religious people who, let's say, they follow their religion, even if they're not Christian, who have voted for Biden and support Democrats. Yeah, where are they? Because homosexuality is, or this just complete perversion is not supported in several religions.
Right.
So how about the Muslims?
Right.
That's my question.
I actually know a few of them, and they're quiet. They're quietly coming over to the Republican side. They're not waving the red flag, so to speak, but they see what's going on, but they're not as vocal as they would be for the Democrats. Now they're like, oh, we see what's going on, but we're going to quietly come over here and support the Republicans. Like I know a few people actually that have done that.
I hope that is the case, because like I said, you had some that were very vocal when Trump was in office and when he was running, right? Or when he was running, I should say. Some people said, I agree with his policies, but I can't support his character. I can't vote for him. And so, but I haven't heard that faction when it comes to Biden and his immoral policies, as far as children. I haven't heard it. I have not heard it. And I challenge you to comment tonight on this. Give me. I would love to hear it, because to me, there's no difference. If you want to talk about morality and you want to talk about you can't vote for someone because of their character, you have a president who is trying to chemically castrate children. They're not only chemically, they're cutting off breasts.
And the majority of them will regret it. The majority of them will regret it, especially if they get bottom surgery. Yeah.
You have them, in school reading books to elementary school kids about sex and same-sex situations, sexualizing our children. And I haven't heard anyone stand up in the faith-based communities like they did against Trump and his character. So let's go to some of the comments here. So we have, let's see here. We have Denise Glover. Amen, Shelly. Okay. Yeah, continue to comment. Definitely comment and subscribe. We have one here. Raphael Warnock wants to kill more babies too. Well, we know that. Again, you don't hear faith-based communities standing up against abortion, but that's something that's a long time thing. But
isn't he a minister, Raphael Warnock?
Oh yeah, he's a minister in Georgia.
He's going up against Herschel Walker, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. We'll continue to follow that. Again, I challenge you all to take a look at this Washington Post story. We will post it in the comments, but it's something. It's certainly something to see, and definitely I would love to hear your thoughts. So definitely comment in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. Also, like I mentioned, subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. And if you like what we're doing, if you want to support independent media, please go to our PayPal. It is in the comments, and donate. We greatly appreciate that, and it would help us move our content and keep this coming to you guys, bring you this information. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, so we are moving right along to our pop-off rapid fire round. So basically, as you guys know, I need each of you to pop off on this trending topic and provide your reaction in 30 seconds or less. All right, so we are starting with you tonight, Shelly. So let's see here. So take a look at this clip. I want to get your thoughts on that.
My daughter just had her 6th grade graduation, and when I got to the school to see her walk her little stage into her, I think she's wearing some outfit I've never seen. Turns out her stepmother, just the two of them, went shopping last night to buy her a dress for graduation. This is a milestone moment that I wasn't even included in on. How is that showing an ounce of respect? I birthed this child. She's my child. I'm the one that's known her from birth to 6th grade to be celebrating the fact that she's graduating 6th grade. You're the one that bought her a fucking dress. You couldn't even include me in on it. A milestone moment. You really think a stepmother that been in her life for 6 months, 8 months, however fuck long you've been in her goddamn life, you really think you have the right to go with her dress shopping for her fucking graduation and exclude me? That's respect. That's building a community and a village for children. That's what's best for the fucking children? Really? Get the fuck out of here.
All right, so that actually, I would like T, if you could pop off on that. That is basically, I want to get your thoughts on that, the dynamic between a stepmom and a mom. So as you can see, she was really upset. She missed this opportunity. Do you think she had a right to be upset about this? What are your thoughts?
So there are a lot of wrongs here because, first of all, the stepmother, if it's an official stepmother, I hope it's not a step-girlfriend. The stepmother and the mother should already have a relationship. As the mother, she should have already established a relationship with the stepmother when her and the ex-husband or whatever the father got married, so that this wouldn't have happened, because they would have already known, look, I'm buying her a dress. There was already, the whole purpose of establishing a relationship is to keep peace between everyone. So that's a wrong that she didn't establish a relationship. And then the second thing is, stepmother, yeah, I mean, you should communicate. I think she was she probably overstepped her boundaries. But at the end of the day, the daughter had a new dress for her graduation. It should always be the children at the end of the day. So why not be happy that you have someone in the child's life that is caring for her enough to buy her a new dress and for her to look happy or pretty or whatever. So at the end of the day, you should just, the kids is the focus. The children are the focus, not your feelings, ma'am.
All right. All right, moving right along. This next clip is a clip of the Martin Show is doing a reunion, and they have a reunion coming up. And so this is Tisha Campbell
Shelly.
talking about the reunion, the impending reunion coming up. I think it's this month. So take a look. Do we have that clip?
So what was that like, just being back?
It was incredible. It was like we were going to start work all over, like right then.
Wow.
We were ready to start, and everything was going to start working. And it was amazing, like just being with everybody. We were finishing each other's sentences. We were joking. We were laughing. It was like being on set again.
I know, it was really fun to see you guys together, too, because you could
Yeah.
tell there's love there. You know, when the show ended, there was tension between you and Martin. You had filed a lawsuit against him, and he said it wasn't true. How were you able to get back on track with him? Because clearly you guys have worked it out.
We worked really hard to reconnect, to forgive, and it's really, this reunion is about a celebration of everything that we did, everything that we accomplished, and our growth as human beings. And so we concentrated mostly on that.
But I look at your...
Okay, and before you start, Shelly, I want to give you a little bit of background because again, what she was referring to is they had a really bad falling out. So of course, Martin was a huge show, 1992 to 1997. But in 1997, Tisha Campbell charged Martin Lawrence with repeated and escalating sexual harassment, sexual battery, verbal abuse, and threats. So that was a huge thing. They actually settled out of court. However, in an interview in GQ, I think this was like 2 years ago or it was last year, he said he was asked about that lawsuit, and Martin Lawrence said, and I quote, "It was all a lot of bullshit, and just whoever side it was bullshit." He said, adding that the two never spoke about the lawsuit. He says, "We don't need to talk about something that just didn't happen." So that's what I want to ask you about. Now we have them in this, in this reunion show. Should Tisha Campbell get a pass for filing what appears to be a frivolous lawsuit?
Okay. Everybody who knows me knows I am a huge Martin fan, okay? Or at least the Martin Lawrence show, the Martin show. So all those details, sometimes I think that the lawyers, or at least her lawyers at the time and her advisors, I think they kind of riled up this situation and it didn't happen. I can see Martin forgiving, like she said, moving on, whatever they did. So I don't know all the details. Nothing really came of it. At least I'm not aware of what came of it. Like he said, nothing happened. But I do want to say this. It to me, it goes to, I'm going to say it's always the woman. It's always the woman who has to cause all of this trouble. And men, by and large, are generally forgiving. Okay, so Martin was able to forgive and move on. Hope they have a good reunion, whatever. But I think it was a big nothing burger. She was young, probably arrogant. He may have been as well. And I think her advisors just advised her incorrectly.
All right. So we're moving right along. I honestly think it's terrible. I actually have to comment on this. I do. I think this is just reflective of this whole Me Too movement, honestly, where you have these women who they're about money. To me, it looks like she is now, they know she has had her career has lagged ever since Martin's show. She hasn't done much of anything. She's a C actress at best. And now she comes out because Martin Lawrence has continued to thrive with his shows, with his movies, and so on. And she wants a piece of the pie. So now she's saying, I don't even wouldn't call it let bygones be bygones. To me, she's like, I'm here for the bag. and you saw her voice start to shake, and for once, Gail called somebody out, and I actually agreed with her for saying, she was like, and he said it wasn't true, So I think she is. It really looks poorly on her, but I know I'm not supposed to talk with you. This is your pop off. So
wait a minute. No, I want to say something. You have a point, but remember, they invited her back to the reunion. They didn't have to do that because that was the heyday of the show when they were all on there. So they invited her back to the reunion. So it does speak to whatever the forgiveness is and the bygones. It does speak to that a little bit.
All right. I want to play this next clip. Actually, it's not a clip. This is a question for you, Yana. So this week, Justin Bieber came out. He had the whole, I believe, left side of his face is paralyzed. He has been diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunting syndrome. And he came out the video, and I actually encourage you all to go to his Instagram page and watch it. It is still up, where he was talking to fans and apologizing for canceling shows due to this illness, or this virus is what it is. And it was sad. It was very sad to watch. And my heart and prayers go out to him. I hope he has a speedy recovery. But I want to get your opinion on this, and I don't want to get censored because I know you can't talk about anything to do with COVID. But he was an avid supporter of the vaccine. He is vaccinated, and so is his wife. She had a blood clot, I believe, a year ago. So, do you think this has any connection to what is happening to him now? Yana, this is for you.
Well, yes, I have to say that's the first thing that came to my mind, because we're seeing this really strange things happening to people. I mean, how often do we see someone like lose, control of half of their face? And then we see other situations where people will, like, blood clots, just dying mysteriously. Like, I literally know people who just died and there's no explanation. And actually, after I saw what happened to him, I checked, and there was a study that was done that connected that syndrome, the Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, to COVID-19. So COVID-19 vaccination. So there's an actual study that was done in the University of Hong Kong, and they have linked. There was another person who had, the same situation happened to them. So, I mean, that's probably related, because it's just so unusual, and now we're seeing more and more unusual reactions in people.
All right. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to him and anyone, young people. We talked about this last week, a news article that said there was an uptick in deaths of people 40 and younger dying from sudden death syndrome. I think it was sudden death syndrome.
It was sudden adult death.
Okay.
SAD.
Sudden adult death syndrome, and
Yes.
and then most of those upticks have been happening in Australia, from what I understand. Because for a number of years,
and they're so vaccinated. That's so weird,
For a number of years in the U.S., I think from 1989 to the mid 90s or so, there was a stark decline in the U.S., but Australia is just starting to keep track now that they're having this uptick.
All right, well, we'll continue to watch and follow that story. I want to go to our last pop-off of the night. This is for you, Colleen. Take a look at this clip, and I want to get your response.
No question about it. So there's a lot of major things we've done, but what we haven't done is we haven't been able to communicate it in a way that is, let me say another way.
Well, see, that's kind of perfect. Yeah, we haven't been able to communicate it.
But look how the press has changed. Mm-hmm. Look how the press has changed.
It has changed. Oh, listen, I get it.
I know you overstand it. Yeah. You don't just understand it, you overstand it. But here's the deal. One of the things is that it's very difficult now to have a even with notable exceptions, even the really good reporters, they have to get the number of clicks on nightly news. Mm-hmm. So instead of asking a question, anyway, it just everything gets sensationalized in ways that. But I'm convinced we can get through this. We have to get through it. And one of the things, look.
I'm going to take a break, and then we'll talk a little bit more, if you don't
blame
mind.
you.
I'm sorry. We have some of those commercials. We have some biracial commercials we need to show.
Wow. All right. So
what did he say?
What do you think about that interview and President Biden's, how he acted in the interview? I mean, are we seeing a president in decline?
I'm so glad that I got this because, Jimmy Kimmel is just as bad as Bill Maher. They're Biden's cheerleaders, just along with The View. Bill Maher actually had a list of things that Biden has done for minorities on his last show last weekend. He had a full graphic of this is what he's done for Black people. I was like, is this guy seriously sitting up here like, please, guys, vote for Biden next time? But yeah, I mean, I'm really tired of the press constantly covering for this guy. Let's cut to commercial. He clearly can't talk right. This is the time to do it. I mean, it's how much more? I feel like the rest of the world sees what's going on. I mean, this is just so embarrassing at this point. I'm so ashamed to have him as a president. I really am. Every time he talks, I'm just like, please shut up. Like, I don't want to get bombed while you're president, because honestly, if we do, we're screwed. This guy's an idiot. So every time he talks, I just get anxiety.
Yeah, it reminded me of my grandmother. Before she passed away, she had dementia. And so, I'm talking to her and you can tell she's kind of like fuzzy and going all over the place, but you're trying to keep them on the track. You're trying to keep them on the track and you don't want them to know that you know that they're not all there. And so you see how he said, oh, I know Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, he was trying to keep them in there, keep them on track with the conversation. The man couldn't even finish a sentence. It's sad.
I thought it was funny when he said, I guess that's the problem. We haven't been able to understand. Yeah. So I thought it was kind of like, was he trying to say that he doesn't make sense?
Well, in the conversation, he never talked about his administration has accomplished. And I would love to see what Bill Maher actually said. What has he done for Black people? Because all I hear him talking about is trans.
You have to. Oh my God, I will send you the clip. He talks to Dr. Cornel West or Dr. West. Do you know who he is? Yeah. So he has a discussion with him. Dr. West is like, honestly, Trump and Biden are both no better. I don't think that they're either. And Bill Maher's like, hey, wait a minute here. Pulls up a graphic. And it was literally nothing that actually helped Black people. He literally had on there that they cut Black poverty by 40% with cash programs. I'm not kidding. I'll find this clip and I'll send it to you later. But I was just like, so they're just going to keep gaslighting Americans? Because I'm pretty sure that nobody's poverty was cut by 40%. Gas is $6 a damn gallon practically. Yeah. What? Like they just make things up.
You hear people talking about how we got these stimulus checks, or some people got them, and they're all gone. With the stimulus checks,
that's like $2 bills for a normal American. Those stimulus checks, my God!
You paid for your
real estate.
Yeah, that's a payment. Yeah.
Crazy. And now, good God Almighty, they're out of tampons. They're out of tampons, and sanitary napkins are next. What in the world are we gonna do?
Oh my God! Is that why those people had menstrual blood on their pants?
No,
better get the cup. We always have the cup.
Oh. I saw my friend make a status about the
roll some toilet paper up.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
All right. Well, again, that's our pop off. So, again, these are our pop off rounds where I ask each host a question. And have them answer in 30 seconds or less.
I wish I had more than 30 seconds for mine. I was trying to sum it up.
But if you have a question that you'd like to hear answered by one of our co-hosts, email me, KJ, at metroconservativemedia.com. We will ask the co-host your question during our next show. All right, so we are moving right along tonight to our next topic, which is here. It's a local issue here in Baltimore City. 12,000 kids were changed from where grades were changed from failing to passing in Baltimore City schools, and people are upset. Please take a look at this clip.
Thank you. We don't need that. You all can go. We are here to fight for our children. We don't need cameras out here. We don't need that. We are out here to fight for our children. It ain't about these damn cameras around here. Our children are failing because of this.
So she advised them to run away.
Right.
So she's running away from the public. So this is Baltimore City Public Schools.
Because you want to interview what you want to interview, and you get paid for what you want to get paid for. But our children is still failing because of the stuff that they're doing in that building. Ain't no need of singing it out. Sing it up for our children.
We were. They were talking. They were talking about it. They were talking to
Clean it up for our children. You want to clean it up? Clean it up for our children.
She wants to go inside and have an interview, a more controlled environment.
Tell us to be quiet. Talk one by one. If you want to talk, damn it, talk. This is the time to talk. This is the time to talk. We don't need no damn cameras around. We don't need no news. Our children is suffering. And I went through the same thing that they went through. I came out of the 12th grade reading on a 4th grade reading level. I could not go to college. I could not go in the army. I could not do a damn thing but stay stuck in this city, and our children are going through the same damn thing. And you tell us to be quiet. This ain't the time to be quiet. I will shout and I will tell everybody they need to go. We need a federal investigation.
Wow. I wasn't there, and just watching that it almost brings tears to my eyes. I want to go right to you, Shelly, because you were there. Can you talk about what happened at the city at the Board of Education?
So what happened was the administrators, those two administrators there, basically they wanted to only speak to the media, who were largely giving them unchallenged time, basically. So I and a few other parents and the public, we took our little happy asses up there and interrupted. And so we started talking to the administrators, and they wanted to go in a more controlled environment, basically. So you saw them walking into the building.
Okay. And the gentleman that, I mean, if that doesn't move you, we talk on this show all the time about standing up. You know, we were just talking about standing up, you know, people, parents standing up against this transgender, against this sexualization of children across the country. That man, he explained how he was a victim of the failing school system. And now he is standing up. We need more parents like him, more people to stand up and tell somebody and put truth to power. I want to go to you, Yana. I want to go to you on this. What are your thoughts after seeing that video and hearing about the report? 12,000 kids had their grades changed from failing to passing. This is just one incident. I mean, we've had the Augusta Fells issue. We've had, you know, they're counting their kids aren't going to school and they're counting them present in Baltimore City schools. What are your thoughts on what occurred here?
Well, you know how I usually talk about Marxism and socialism and how those things don't exactly work. And in order for those things to work, you have to have a totalitarian society, a very totalitarian society. And we don't live in that type of society. We should not have too much socialism in America. And so what I'm seeing is that it's a failure of public system, and there shouldn't be public schools, I think. And I can expand on that, why I feel this way, because there's such thing as exchange. And whenever, you know, when someone does something for you, someone does something good for you, people want to do something in return. And that is just like, it's like a law. So there has to be an exchange between, person who's receiving the service and the person who's providing the service. So I think that there's actually a big disbalance here. So yes, the administrators and the teachers might be at fault in some ways, but also there's the parents and the students. And so when we introduce, let's say, capitalism, and I'm not saying like, let's say, just the government can still be involved in some way and subsidize and all that stuff, but everyone has to pay for education. I think that may solve the problem in some ways, because in many ways it's like this has been happening for a long time, and when people are paying for something, they value it more and they become more involved, and they will maybe catch the problem early before a child is in high school and cannot read.
All right. I want to go to you, Colleen. What are your thoughts on this crisis, Baltimore City education crisis going on? We had the Flint water crisis. You have Catholic priests in the Catholic school crisis abusing children. Why aren't we getting the same amount of coverage and the same amount of push against these in leadership in Baltimore City schools that we got for those crises? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I would say that anytime any kind of woke crap comes up in any school meetings or any kind of woke crap is being pushed in your curricula, any parents who are out there listening to this, constantly fight it, because that is the worst thing that's going to make schools so much worse. They literally don't want to actually work on academics. They just want to work on things that they will not actually use in the real world. So if you can't even have enough academics to get into even the military after school or anything, if you literally can't do anything after school because we're implementing crap in the schools like LGBT, like curricula, stuff like that, like those are not things that kids need to learn about. I mean, and that's always pushed in these Democrat areas. They push this woke agenda. So my thoughts on this are, this is definitely a direct result of just like woke curricula, but also I wonder when parents are going to care more, because I feel like we need a little bit more uproar from parents as well. I think that the parents need to be a little bit more, they need to get more upset when they see something that's being pushed in curricula that's not academics. The second they see something that's a distraction, jump on it. Like, we need to care a little bit more. And I don't say,
and if they pay for it, they will care. It's because it's free. They're receiving the service and they're like, whatever. They're just they don't think about it. That's just like human nature.
Right.
And when you pay for something, then you're like, oh, what am I paying exactly?
When I say care, I mean they need to care about the fact that like anything that's not academic being put in the schools will be pretty much harmful. So if they think it's LGBT book club night or something like that, get mad. What is this? This is not academics. How is this going to help my kids succeed? Like, you have to literally get mad about anything that's not academics being pushed in the schools. Like, anytime there's something that's not going to help the kids, get up there, get up at City Hall, do what that guy did. Like, it has to be, they need more energy.
What are your thoughts on this, T? We've seen this grade scandal, the failing of our children by this administration, by this school board. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I agree with all the ladies here, and a previous guest that we've had on the show has said that it's been this way for the past 50, 60 years. So at this point, it's not going to get better. So we do have to take our children out. Like, there's no other way than to unschool and homeschool our children. There's no other way. And maybe if we pay for it, like Yana said, we'd have to we'd appreciate it more. But the only other way is to take our children out of the school. School choice, I mean, they're all teaching the same thing now. So that's not even going to help in public schools. So there's no way around it. From everywhere that we turn, they're taking our children. So we have to take our children back. There's no way around it.
All right, I want to play a clip, but before I do that, I would like to go to some of these comments because we do have a lot on this topic. We have Belinda. She says, but at this point, so many people are behind. They can't afford to send kids to private. Good
Yeah,
point.
we really got to fix the public.
So I want to, can I address that, what Belinda said?
Sure.
There are ways that parents, before the parents can come together and form co-ops. They can form, school groups. Plenty of people can teach children how to read, write, and do basic math from K through 12. There are plenty of people, you don't have to have a PhD in math and science or in aeronautics to teach children basic K through 12 reading, writing, and math. So parents can come together and be creative about how their children are educated, and they can, whatever, in their homes, they can use rooms in some churches or whatever it may be. But there are ways. Once the power is removed from the school systems, then they have no more leverage. And the power that they have is when you give your children to them every day.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Shelly. Also, right now we have so much technology. We have so much out there that they can practice whatever it is that they need to learn and watch videos and take tests. How about talking to some of the teachers in the schools and saying, look, we're going to pay you, to teach our kids, and we can pay you more than the school pays.
I mean, we all, many of us during the pandemic, I have a 13-year-old. During the pandemic, thank God, he was going to private school, so he was in school most of the pandemic. But there was a period of time when it first hit that they did close his school, and they were doing the online learning. I continued to work. My husband continued to work, and it was very difficult trying to manage him while I'm working, and my husband was working. So how are you guys talking about the co-ops? I know co-ops now.
No, you need to have an instructor. Like, I'm not saying that the parents should take over completely. There has to be an instructor who.
Parents in Baltimore City cannot afford to pay a teacher. That's the whole point. They're going to public school. If they could afford tutors and all.
Okay, to your point, I agree that not everybody can afford one. And I'm not talking about individually. If you form groups, right, there's what do you call it, power in numbers or whatever. That's one way. Number two, also, if these parents can get the information, if we can get it out to them, go to demand school choice. Demand that the money that is going to public schools for your children comes to the child. The money should follow the child, not be sent to North Avenue and other school districts. That's another thing. Number three, ultimately, your children are your responsibility. So yes, we do. I work like you, KJ. My child goes to private school, and for a period of time, very short period of time, their school closed at the beginning of the pandemic as well. But guess what? First of all, when they said children stay home and do whatever, I didn't listen to that any damn way. Okay, I took my child out. We went out for walks, exercising, whatever, all that stuff. So there comes a point where we have to stand up to say no. Enough is enough. Now, that point may be different for some of us or different across the board in different areas, but we still have to say no. Enough is enough. This is where the line goes.
And I think it's doable. I mean, you can
there are public schools. The public school system works in other areas. Okay, so it's not so much about public school system and the idea that you have to pay to get some type.
You know why it works in other areas? Maybe if the parents are more involved in those areas, because I've gone to school in New York that was a failing school, and then I went to school in Virginia, and honestly, the level of instruction was pretty much the same. The reason why the school in Virginia was doing better is because the parents were more involved. Sure, I'm not saying it's the parents' fault necessarily. Yes, they can be really busy and may not speak English, but if they see really bad results, like Shelly was saying, they can do something. You can pay someone $40 an hour and let's say, get 9 kids together. You can break it up between, each parent, and it's not going to be a whole lot. So there's ways to do this. And we always talk about how socialism doesn't work. Like Shelly said, it's been like this, or someone said that T was saying that it hasn't been working for 60 years. That's almost as long as the Soviet Union existed. So it's collapsing. Socialism in public school does not work, and it doesn't work in better areas either. The only reason why kids are doing better there is because the parents are very much involved.
Well, let's look at that.
Let's
look at that. I want to show this clip because I want to talk about, after this clip, I want to talk about accountability. Yes, we've mentioned the parents, but what about the administration, elected leaders, the school board? Take a look at this second clip.
Even when we have not had the historical
let me ask you this.
Just
your thoughts as Mr. Andre. What do you think the disconnect is? Because we have a whole lot of parents out here in Baltimore City who don't think what you're saying is true. So what is the disconnect? What am I missing? What are they missing?
Here's what you're missing.
Okay.
Trust. And trust is built on outcomes. It's one thing for Andre to tell you, we care about these kids. But what you're looking at me and what many of our parents are saying is, but I know this student over here. And what you're telling me, and I want to believe you, but his outcomes ain't that.
So why should we trust you then?
You know, that is just an honest question. I would love to tell you that watch us work and see our passion, but in the end, the only thing that matters in life ultimately is results. That's why the CEO pushes us so hard, and that's why we push ourselves so hard. But when you're asking me can I give you that trust?
All right, so that was, I think it's Dr. Andre Talley.
Right, I think it's Riley. Riley.
Right. He is the public relations for Baltimore City Schools and for the school board. And he talked about outcomes. He said that we need to trust them, and we need to trust them based off of outcomes. So let's take a look at these outcomes. So Fox 45 again dug deeper into this topic and learned as the salaries went up in city schools, key student performance metrics went down. In the last 5 years, the graduation rate is down 2 points from 71% to 69%. Attendance is down by 8 points from nearly 88% in 2016 to about 80% in 2021. Chronic absenteeism is also up 12 points from 37% to 49%. These numbers were stagnant or trending worse before COVID. So this is just one aspect of the outcomes, but all of these measurements, any way you do it, generally across the board, is abysmal for Baltimore City Schools. So who should we hold accountable? This is what I want you to answer. Who should we hold accountable? Anybody?
So in that sense, it's like when I was talking to Andre Riley there, I mentioned that, in that school board administration building, people get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars every 2 weeks. But the outcomes for these parents are that their children are being graduated and passed through, not being able to read, write, do basic math, can't even go and really fill out a job application. So the outcomes on their end, they are responsible for, and they should be held accountable. However, a lot of parents, it's like this symbiotic relationship. If parents are not involved, they're not going to know and hold these people accountable. And what's going to happen? The people are just going to keep rolling with it. They're going to keep demanding to get paid more and whatever else the unions are demanding. So it's this symbiotic relationship, a dysfunctional one. But again, what's happening in the end? The students and the kids are the ones who are being disserviced to the utmost.
Yeah, exactly. And when you look at the outcomes from charter schools versus these public schools, many of the charter schools take these same kids who have been failing in public school, and they come out with better outcomes in these charter schools. So it's not just about the parents. I mean, parents are a big part of it, but this system is failing our children too, and there's no accountability.
Well, because charter schools are more closely related to, I would say, a capitalist system, because if a charter school fails, then they lose funding. They have sponsors. So besides the government may give some money to a charter school, but there are also companies that sponsor charter school, and they have to produce results, real results, and the kids actually have to get into colleges and move on and pass state exams. And so there's accountability and there's money connected to that performance.
Right. Also, I want to say this. The system, I'm saying the system in general, but we're talking about Baltimore City. The system is really set up to keep parents out, so that parents, they don't really want parents involved, because once a parent, your average parent, becomes aware of what's going on, they're going to raise holy hell. So the system is really set up to work against them even being involved beyond a certain level. Yes, they might want you to come and volunteer in the cafeteria or be the hall monitor for whatever, but they don't really want you knowing more, above a certain level, because once you do, then you are going to hold them accountable, and they don't want that.
Yeah. And I want to get you guys' thoughts on the media coverage. Now, you have people in Baltimore City who hate Fox 45 because Fox 45 is shedding light on what is going on. And I really don't understand why they do that, because I don't understand why people have such a big issue for Fox 45 doing this, because if without them, we wouldn't know all of the inconsistencies and failings within this school system. I want to get your thoughts on this, Colleen. Why would people be upset with them for shedding light on this? Just like they shed light on the news, some news coverage of the Flint water crisis was uncovered. The scandal in Catholic schools and the abuse of children was uncovered. Now we're uncovering failures within this administration and the school board and the Baltimore City Public Schools, and they don't want you. You can't talk about it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they don't want people to know about it. That's really it. I mean, they don't want people to know about the problems in Baltimore. They want everybody to think that Democrat policies work, that Joe Biden's economy is prosperous. They want us to believe that he's cut Black poverty by 40%. I think that they literally just want to keep the lie going. And I can't stand how combative they can be towards Project Baltimore. I mean, they're so necessary. And if it weren't for them, my goodness, it'd be so much worse than it already is if it weren't for Project Baltimore. I mean, somebody has to uncover this crap, and they're the only ones who care that are local.
Yeah, we have all the news organizations, most of them within Baltimore City, are lackeys for the Democrat politicians. Baltimore Sun, you had this woman, Brittany Verner, on WMAR. Now, she put out an article about the protest at City Hall. She says, a protest outside of Baltimore City Schools administration building almost turned violent. Now, Shelly, you were there for either all the time or majority of the time. Did this almost turn violent?
No, it didn't. It was not almost violent. And she also said it was an ambush, talking about the public ambushed the administrators, basically. Just disclaimer, I did write Miss Verner, or WMAR, who she works for, to ask her to come on the show to defend what she wrote, because what she wrote was an absolute lie. And not only was it a lie, it showed disdain and contempt for the people of Baltimore City who entrust their children in our K through 12 school system to be educated. It showed basically she snubbed her nose at the people of Baltimore, saying basically, you're not worthy to talk to these administrators. That's basically what she's saying, because she lied. And I hope she hears this, and I invite her on here to have a discussion about what she wrote, because it was utterly lying.
Yes,
I would also.
People are enemy of the state.
I was going to say that.
Of the state.
Yes.
Because they do not hold our elected officials accountable. Yes. And that is what we need. They're supposed to investigate stuff like this, not be puppets.
It's propaganda. It's propaganda. It's not press anymore. They are not on our side at all.
No, it's propaganda.
And if she is listening right now, I would like to let her know you are contributing to the downfall of Baltimore, just so we're clear.
Yeah. And while you're at it, Brittany Verner, why don't you just say how Brandon Scott? Why don't you do that? Because that's what you are.
Brandon Scott is, I never thought I'd look at Brandon Scott and go, you know what? I can be in politics one day too. Great. That's what Brandon Scott does for me. I'm like, great. I can do better than you one day. Anybody can.
You got to have a thicker tongue. Because he got a heavy tongue taking up his whole mouth.
Right.
But it's terrible. It's terrible. Who knows what he's doing with that heavy tongue.
They lie like the day comes up, the night follows day, and day follows night. They lie so much and so effortlessly. And they really want people, people either fall for their lies, but the people who don't, those are the ones that they really hate. They really hate the people who don't fall for their lies and who don't fall in line with them.
Right.
Yeah, we have some Marvin Phillips here. He's saying, speak that truth. Some in my area, unions first. Yeah, they're all stooges for the unions. Mm-hmm. They're getting their pockets lined. Same thing going on with the election and with Marilyn Mosby. She's all cozy with the news media, except for Fox 45 and maybe The Brew.
She's at fault. She's at fault too, because she's not providing a safe community for these kids to go to school in. So she is a contributing factor along with the superintendent and anybody else who actually has any say at the school.
She should really be investigating, because she's the state's attorney in Baltimore City. She should be investigating them.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, and I really hope that reporter is listening to this show right now, because honestly, to ever look at somebody who was protesting the fact that they took 12,000 students and turned them from failing to passing, and it was like, they were really upset. I can't believe it. Why do you think we were upset, lady? What the hell is wrong with these people? Like,
I wouldn't call her a reporter.
Yeah. She's a latte liberal.
She's not a reporter. I mean, journalism isn't the same anymore. So she's not a reporter. She's an opinion article writer or an opinion editor or whatever.
Yeah.
So again, we do have to move on from this. This is an important topic. Please continue to share this video. Share it on your news feeds, on your YouTube. Send it in Messenger, especially if you are local to Maryland. Or if you have a similar situation happening within your community, because we, as not just parents, just community, being a part of the community, need to shed light on this. Because guess what? Even if you don't have a student within the Baltimore City public school system, if you live in Maryland, you will be affected by this. Because guess what? Poorly educated kids turn into criminals, and criminals turn into people who vandalize and tear up the community.
Who's going to fill these jobs that we have here if they can't do the job? Yeah, like, we're going to have to hire out. I mean, nobody in Maryland would be qualified to work the jobs we have open here, and we have a lot of good paying jobs.
Yes, indeed. All right. So again, join the conversation as you guys have. Let me go through some of these comments. So let's see here. We have Denise Glover. She says, attack all who don't accept their narrative. They are labeling domestic terrorists. They certainly are. You see that in Virginia. My goodness, the FBI was put on some of these parents for just standing up for their community. So again, we'll continue to check the comments throughout the show. Also subscribe. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, so we are getting closer to the end of the show. This is our last topic of the night, which is mental health. So there was an article, actually it was like a post, posted on, I believe it was .com. I actually don't have, okay, there it is. So daily.com. And basically what occurred is a lady got on and said she went out on a date with a guy, and they had a nice time. And I guess he used the bathroom or something. And while he was there, he noticed she had medication that she was taking. he goes and Googles it and finds out it's an antipsychotic. And so he reached out to her and to confirm it, and basically said he didn't want to date her anymore because she may have a mental health issue. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, and I want to expand this topic a little bit, not just to mental health but physical health. So, what advice would you give someone that is dating? Let's say you have a girlfriend, a friend who is dating somebody, and they're getting serious, and they find out, this person has a mental health or physical health issue. Would you advise them to keep dating the person, or would you say, no, you don't need to go forward with this person because they have this issue? And is that insensitive? I want to get your thoughts on this. I'll start with you, T.
I would advise my friend not to date someone with a mental health issue. Physical, I mean, you can obviously see that, so you can choose. I mean, I guess you can choose either way, but I would advise them not to because, however, the whole mental health, everyone has anxiety now, everyone's depressed now, everyone's taking medicine. Seeking therapy is like the bougie thing to do, which some people may need it, but it's like a check, like it's a badge of honor now. So it may be a good thing to most people that someone is doing the work to make themselves better, but I would advise not to because you never know. Just never know. Thank you.
All right. What are your thoughts on this, Colleen? You have a friend who finds out that, the guy she's getting serious with has some type of mental health issue, or maybe some type of chronic health issue, physical issue. Would you advise them to continue to go to date them, or leave them alone?
Well, unfortunately, we're very over medicated in America, and I can speak to this firsthand. I was on medications that were for anti-seizure, that were for mood swings. I've been off them for like a while now because I didn't need them. Nothing really happened, but my doctor is getting a crap load of money for prescribing them to me. I'm currently still on Adderall that I'm really trying to get off of, but you get stuck on it when you've been on it for so long. And I'm over medicated on that. I don't need it. So I can't wait to get off this. But I've been overly medicated for very many years for things that I didn't need help with. I never had seizures. I don't have rapid, just crazy mood swings or anything like that. Like my boyfriend wouldn't be with me if I was that crazy after stopping these anti-seizures medications or whatever they were. But we're overly medicated. And so, I mean, the guy could be just medicated for something that he probably doesn't even need to be medicated for. But I mean, honestly, if the guy really does have problems, I really would advise against it, just because we got to look out for ourselves as women. I mean, it's not something you definitely got to be careful when you're with somebody who is a mentally ill man and is stronger than you and might have violent tendencies possibly. I mean, that's a nightmare. So I would usually advise against it.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this, Shelly? Again, you have a friend who comes to you and says they're dating somebody. They found out they have a mental health issue or a physical health issue, some type of chronic issue. Do you tell them to continue dating, or do you advise them to leave them alone?
I'd say date who you want, and don't date if you don't want, for whatever reason. Now, all mental health issues are not the same. Like T said, it's just fashionable now, for everybody to have a mental health issue. All of them are not the same, and neither are all physical, ailments or illnesses are not the same. So if you want to be invested in that relationship, taking it however far you want to go, do it. If not, then don't. But it's not a matter of insensitivity or not. It's a matter of you wanting to be involved and putting yourself out to do that. I make a distinction between dating and marriage. Once you are married, that's a whole different commitment, a whole different level. When you're dating, that's the time to decide what it is you really want and what you're even willing to do while before you sign the marriage certificate, the marriage license.
All right. And what are your thoughts on this, Yana? You find out someone has a mental health issue or a chronic physical issue. Do you advise your friend to continue dating this person, or cut the brakes and pull out at this time?
Well, Shelly said something interesting when she said that, well, when you're dating, it's kind of okay, to date whatever, whatever issues they have, and marriage is different. But isn't dating supposed to lead to marriage?
Well, that's what
Not all the time.
that's what
Not all
I
the
would
time.
specifically say.
Well,
It's
but
something
it can, right? I mean, that's the goal, right?
It
I mean,
can,
and
but
we
you
as
also have a choice. You have much more freedom to make that choice before you sign the marriage certificate or the marriage license, I should say. That's what dating is for. Yes, it can, and many times it does lead to marriage, but that is not, you are not obligated to marry someone because you're dating that person.
Sure,
I
but
know that, but let me clarify. Okay, I am asking. This is a situation where there is an intention to be in a long-term relationship or marriage with this person. You have a friend who comes to you and they ask for advice. What do you think, Shelly? What do you think, Yana? Do you think I should continue with this person, or with this mental health issue or this physical issue, or
Right.
do you think that
And
I
the thing
should
is that
leave them alone?
we talk about conservative values a lot here, and the thing is that dating, like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean you sleeping with that person? Does that mean you can get pregnant by that person? So yeah, you might have a choice, to say no to marriage, but then how about you get used to this person, you like them, or you
what? I mean, I'm not. So what?
What if you have a baby with a crazy person? I mean,
It happens every day. It happens every day, unfortunately.
Well, is that what we should? That's the whole question. Is that your friend comes to you?
Whether we should we talk about,
and you're like, oh, you just dating.
Shelly, you didn't answer the question.
All right, I'm going to answer the question. Then, damn it. So I'm going to answer the question. The question, if my friend asked me for advice, my advice would be, and you're going to fret your face up, KJ and Yana, I don't care. But my advice would be, you have to understand what it is you are, agreeing to or taking up. Whatever. If you want to marry that person, go ahead. But at least understand what the mental illness is, what the physical ailments are, so that you can have a clear understanding of what it is you're doing.
Hey, that's not it's for to make a decision whether you want to.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, so you're asking the question again.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you what I was saying.
So you're saying it depends on the issue.
No, it does. But I would tell my friend, just have an understanding of what you're getting into or not willing to. That's all.
The person has an understanding. And they're asking you
what to do with their lives.
We'll say what?
We can't tell people what to do with their own lives. Like, I would say no. Because if you can only put yourself in that situation.
Then you're not friends.
Why?
One thing if I'm saying I'm just venting and I'm saying, oh, I'm having this, girl, I found out
But I would.
But if I ask you,
and I tell you, KJ, if I say, KJ, if you marry this person or you want to be with this person because he has XYZ, just understand what XYZ is and what that means, how that's going to impact you if you do marry. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, I agree that you have to if my friend came to me, I mean, I would want to know what's really going on with this person that they're seeing and how bad the illness that they have. I mean, that's what I would base my advice on. Is it something that they can deal with, they're going to be okay with, or not? And but
if you told me, I would say, KJ, if you don't want to marry the person, I would say, okay, don't marry him. Yes, you might hurt. You can cry on my shoulder. Here it is. You can cry on my shoulder, KJ.
But my comment to that also is that if you're not willing to marry that person with those problems, then don't date them either. We can't hear you.
So let me ask you all another question. Let me ask you all another question then. And then we'll wrap up. So, let's say the person is knowing that they say, no. My question is, do you feel like someone is insensitive or self-involved if they decide not to date this person?
No.
Okay, and do you think it's okay for someone to, like the situation we had here in the article where they found the antipsychotic medication and basically ends it with that person?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Some people don't date people because their feet are not whatever. Their feet look like pig toes or whatever.
It's true. It's true. Women will do that.
My response to that is that yes, of course they have a right to refuse a person for whatever reason. However, it may or may not be wise. So that's where, you know, we all have, like Colleen was saying, we all have some sort of issue. And so when you're keep rejecting people for something that may not be a real issue, then you yourself might have some crazy issues that you don't even know that you haven't been evaluated. At least that person has been evaluated and they know what they got.
Okay, well then fine. That's fine too. That's a possibility.
One guy that I was seeing, he said, well, when I was dating before, he said, when my crazy meets your crazy, then we'll know if we can be together. Because everybody got a crazy somewhere.
But there's somebody for everybody, you know? I mean, there might not be this guy, but there might be a guy out there that thinks she's great and doesn't give a shit. So, I mean, I'm sure there is a guy out there that thinks she's great and doesn't give a shit. So who cares about this guy? Honestly, somebody who would text something like that, honestly, like, what kind of answer was he expecting back for her to be like, those aren't mine? Her name's on it. You know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't even hit her up. He should have just not talked to her, you know? It was so dumb.
No.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend who I had a guy friend.
I mean, they should have had a normal conversation about it.
Yeah, I think he should have ghosted her, honestly, because obviously too, he didn't want anything to do with her after that.
No, that's awful. That's terrible, Colleen. Why? What? I mean,
because I think that's worse to be like, hey, you're crazy. Yeah. Like, I'm not trying
no,
to
at least she knows what happened. I mean, I'm sure she knows that people have, you know, people do not accept that. I'm sure people are aware.
I'd rather be ghosted than a guy be like, hey, are you crazy? You know?
No, I disagree with that completely. And so, first of all, they should have had conversations about these things prior to sleeping together. That's the first mistake. And then the second is that he could have asked her right there, like he saw it right there, and he could have said like, oh, you know, what are these for? But no, it's like he Googled it, and then that's crazy. That makes him insane. So
why? Because he Googled something to find out what it was?
Because he's not communicating like a normal human being.
Oh, Yana, please. You want guys to communicate like women.
Right.
I mean, if you want to have a relationship with someone, that is a really weird. If you're gonna go and Google, then don't say that you did that. That's embarrassing.
That's what I was saying. I wish he would just ghost
No, and then but that's also awful. That is a horrible thing to do. That should be like prosecuted. People should not be ghosting anybody. They should be normal, decent human beings. He could have lied. You know, maybe he could have said, well, maybe.
Well, how is that a normal, decent human being then?
Well, I mean, a white lie is okay to say, like, look, you know, I have a lot going on, and you know, I'm not in the dating mood right now.
No, save yourself.
No.
Certain
I know
white
what
lies
Yana is saying. That's how they used to do in old school. That's how they used to do in old school.
That's what people say. It's not you, it's me, kind of thing. That was usually a lie, but people communicated, and they're like, okay, he was a decent human being. He said, we're not gonna. What you're gonna hold someone? You know, maybe she's wondering, and that is like, how is that like? You know, we're all women, so a guy just slept with her and then just ghosted her. Like, how is that? You know, that is really detrimental to a woman who.
Please, Yana, come on. Do you really think women are that weak? You really think women are that weak?
That is a hard. I mean, yes.
I'm not saying it's a nice thing to do.
Of a person.
I'm not saying it's a nice thing to do, but women are not that weak. Guess what? Most of us have been dumped, or some of us have been dumped before. We've dumped people, and you get over it. Does it hurt?
Okay, there's a difference between someone saying, "Look, we're not going to see each other again," and someone just disappearing. There's a difference between that.
You get on with your life. You get on with your life. You endure the heartache for a moment, and then you get on with your life.
She may still have heartache, but I'm saying,
Yana,
I'm
please.
talking about.
Wait a minute. Yana is saying this is a huge phenomenon among women. They get ghosted all the time, and I'm talking about you could be talking to a guy
and
for
it's normalized. That's
thinking
ridiculous.
that everything's good. You know, you guys been going maybe vacationing together and stuff, and then he just stops calling all of a sudden.
I know it seems like it's terrible, but like if a guy does that, then fuck him. Never talk to him again. Fuck that dude. Like
I'm not saying that.
You were saying that he should have done that. Sure, she should say like whatever the hell with him. Fine. But you're saying that he should have done that to a woman who has a mental issue. Like seriously?
No, I'm saying it's not. I'm saying it's not the guy's responsibility to walk on eggshells because she has a mental issue. I'm saying that's not his responsibility.
We be normal, decent human beings to each other. Like first of all, we're not supposed to be sleeping together without wanting to have a long-term relationship with that person. But second, if that happened, then be a decent human being and communicate with it. You've slept with that person. Like really? And after that, you can't even talk?
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Well, that's a mental issue in itself. If you can't talk,
not everything is not a mental issue.
You've got a mental issue.
Hey, the way that we they don't communicate in the same way that we communicate. So, of course, if that happens where he just doesn't talk to her, then like Shelly said, just get over it. I mean, one first time won't be the last.
You should not be encouraging that. That's
you have to get over it. You endure the hard.
Of course, you get over it. You can get over a rape too.
Body, you just got a body. I mean,
no, I want to go back to something Yana said. You said what was the issue with it? You encouraging something? You said.
Well, my problem is when someone says that he should have just ghosted the lady. Like that is my problem. Like what?
Yeah,
how can you even suggest such a course of action?
Like you're crazy. It's really embarrassing. Like that, I would feel like I would never forget that. Like, all right, like women don't forget things like that. Like she'll never forget that fucking text message. I mean, now it's viral. But like
if she so what I say all the time is nobody.
No, I agree. I understand what you're saying, Colleen.
She was saying something.
What I say all the time is no one can really get at me. No one can really get at me because if it's a lie, I know it's a lie. If it's the truth, I know it's the truth. So if I'm taking medicine and someone says, "Oh, I saw your medicine, whatever, in the medicine cabinet. What's up with that?" Oh, well, I'm a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? I got some issues going on. So I would rather someone say something to me, but if they don't, then there's plenty of men in the sea. Why
That's
not?
what I'm saying. It might hurt for that moment because they broke up or whatever. And I mean, like I've been dumped and other people have been dumped. I've dumped people. It might hurt for the moment, but you have to keep going. Nobody's entitled to walk on eggshells because I might be having a mental moment.
What you think? You think giving somebody the courtesy of letting them know that the reason why you stopped talking to them is walking on eggshells?
Well, it could be in a situation. Yes, we might. If that's the ideal. I'm not saying that most of us would not want to communicate. Yes, but when it does not happen, you hurt for a moment. If you thought it was a serious relationship, you hurt, but then you have to move on, and you don't have to carry it for the rest of your life. Remember that text message. Come on.
Well, we should have a show about ghosting them because
if I were that girl, I would have rather gotten ghosted than gotten that fucking text. I'll tell you that right now. I would rather gotten ghosted than say, "Hey, I saw your pills. Are you crazy?"
Sometimes we can say, "Thank God that I was dumped." I'm like, Lord, I would have missed that one. Thank you for dumping me. When you
understand what ghosting is, okay? Because ghosting is not dumb. Yeah. Ghosting someone is when you are thinking you guys have an intention on dating, you have been dating, everything's going around, and then all of a sudden you just stop calling the person.
Honestly, I think for a person who is, for anyone, that is worse than the truth. Mm-hmm. Because then you start thinking of, okay, did I say something? Did I do something? Did I smell that? Did I, is it my pills? What is that?
I
So,
hear you
like,
what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying, in addition to that, again, you may not know. It may hurt for a moment. Maybe you will have these thoughts, but ultimately, you still need to go on with your life.
of course, but I'm saying as a society, that is something that should never be encouraged, regardless of what the situation is. As a norm, what I'm always for, bettering the society. So that is not bettering the society to say, you know what, it's okay to sleep with someone or date someone and then disappear. Like that is just that degrades the society overall. Then people would not trust each other to communicate at all. You're always going to be in some sort of like anxiety.
But what are your thoughts on that? I want to get that just real quick. What are you guys' thoughts on that? That sleeping with someone and not talking to them afterwards is a degrading society. I want to get your thoughts. I'll get you into this, Shelly. What do you think on that?
I don't know. I'm listening to Yana. I'm trying to give her comments with some fair due diligence. I think I know what she means. I'm going to stay with what I said. I mean, it hurts for the moment. You move on.
No. She is saying that one night stands. Basically what she's saying is one night stands or sleeping with someone without any type of commitment. Is that what you're saying, Yana? Degrades society,
right? I mean, that's the first
prostitutes
problem.
do it all the time. They had a commitment, pay me the green and keep on going. Prostitutes do it all the time. So I don't know if I can agree with that fully either. But
what does it have to do with prostitutes? I mean,
she always brings up prostitutes. She always brings up prostitutes.
Are you suggesting that we women just normal should equate themselves to prostitutes? Because prostitutes are doing it, it's okay for everyone else to experience that. They get paid. I mean, that's the price that that's the compensation that they get.
I have some advice.
Saying prostitutes do not degrade society. That's what
I'm saying. It's a one night stand. They get paid for it, and whatever.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have some advice for this crazy girl. Don't have sex with guys that you're not that into and that you're not dating.
Well,
this won't happen.
Haven't communicated with properly, and maybe she was. I mean,
wait till you're in a real relationship with somebody, and this won't happen. There we go.
All right. We definitely have went on and on about this. Great conversation. Definitely took a different way. So I want to go through some of these comments we have here. Look at this, Marvin. He says that ghosting phenomenon is kind of harsh. That's not for me though.
Oh, good job, Martin.
If you are single, I have so many friends that will want to date you.
Right, seriously.
These men are out here ghosting everybody.
Like just a PSA. It does hurt our feelings when we get ghosted. We won't downplay that. It definitely hurts our feelings, but I don't want to be asked about my crazy pills.
I can't.
Okay. All right. Let me see.
We have some more comments.
Yeah, let me see here. Denise says, I would Google so I know what questions to ask.
Right.
Google the side effects and stuff. Like, do you get like an itchy scalp?
No, Google why are they taking the medicine in the first place.
Yeah, instead of asking her, Google it. Okay. Let me see. Marvin said earlier, depends on the issue. If the person dating is open and honest about their condition, let them talk it out first rather than a friend. Okay, see. All right.
Good head on the show.
Say again?
So Marvin has a good head on the show.
Yes, he does. So, all right. Well, we are at the end of our time. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe. Subscribe so that way you get up-to-the-minute content when we post, and we appreciate the support. We are an independent media, as I said earlier in the show. Each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. And if you can, donate. Go to our PayPal and on our website. That's www.metroconservativemedia.com. We have a link there for PayPal. Any bit helps, and we really appreciate that. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Actually, before I say goodnight, we wanted to leave you with a bit of good news. Yana, do you have some good news?
Yes, I actually do. And so I wanted to do this because, our shows sometimes can get really, we talk about some heavy issues. So I came across there was a study that was done on 159,000, about 160,000 participants, and they were women. And it says that higher levels of optimism were associated with longer lifespan and living beyond age 90 in women across racial and ethnic groups. And that was done at a Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And so, yeah, and it actually reminded me of my grandmother who lived up to the age of 99. She actually just passed this year, and she would be 100 this month. And she lived through World War II. She lived through Stalin. She lived through the entire Soviet Union until the end of it, and saw the collapse of it. And she was always optimistic. Like she would get sad over certain things, and then she would get over, and she would always have this drive to keep on moving. So that is something to keep in mind, that the more optimism, regardless of what we're going through, we have, it's actually great for our health to keep that fighting spirit and happy spirit.
Thank you so much for that, and we'll continue to carry that throughout.
Because everyone asks me, why do I look so young? And I'm like, because I don't stress.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great week. See you next time.
Bye.